dartn.de is here. We have John Gwynne with us, I think one of the commentary legends in the game. How is it to come back to the Alexandra Palace every year to comment some matches for Sky Sports?
Well, it's nice that even though I retired, Kevin, back in 2013, and my last real commentary was the World Match Play, and I called out Phil Taylor's double top when he beat Adrian Lewis, and that was a completion of 20 World Match Plays on top of 20 World Championships for me, because I did the very first World Championship at the Circus Tavern back in 1994, and it ended a really enjoyable career. But I think because of the familiarity, Sky invite me back from time to time, and especially to the World Championships, to do a day or a couple of days for old time's sake, and I don't like to refuse. I wouldn't want to refuse. I enjoy coming back, and I enjoy those couple of days that I have, and I've done the odd day at Blackpool World Match Play. I did a Premier League night in Aberdeen last May, and it's nice when they're prepared to have me back for a couple of days, and I think the public enjoy it too. It reminds them of what used to be. Yeah.
So there will be a second day also at this year's World Championship?
Yes, it's Sunday today as we talk now, and I'm working this afternoon, and then another match this evening, and then on Monday I've got Monday evening before I go back home to Manchester.
Is there in your long career, a favourite match you have in commentary, or are there so much that you just say, I don't have some? I mean, you had the match between Phil Taylor and Raymond van Barneveld in commentary. Was that the one?
Well, that stands out as the most amazing match. I mean, Barney 3-0 down. And not throwing particularly well, and then to come back the way he did, and the way the game went all the way to the final dart after 5 legs all in the deciding set. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. I know that had happened 3 years earlier when Taylor played Kevin Painter, but this was more dramatic because of the way Barney fought back. They were the 2 best players in the world. Barney had just come across from the BDO. He played Taylor a number of times during 2006, also in some fantastic games. But this was the pinnacle. This was the World Championship final, and it meant so much to both men. It was what they call, I think, in hockey, the face-off. It was the most important game that either man had played up till that point. But the other game, there are other games that stand out. There are lots and lots of fantastic matches. We tend to remember finals in particular, of course. But I remember that game at the Blackpool World Match Play where Andy Hamilton was 15-7 down to Simon Whitlock. And I remember saying, all Hamilton can do is just take it leg by leg, take it to the next interval, and work leg by leg, and gradually came back. And even when it was 15-11, 15-12, 15-13, you thought, well, Whitlock's going to get one soon. But Whitlock began to get very nervous. He was shaking, missing darts, and I think Hamilton knew that he'd got him, and in the end he won it. But the other match which stands out has to be a semi-final here at the Ali Pali, when I was commentating on Michael van Gerwen against, was it James Wade?
Yeah, where he had 17 perfect darts.
And Stuart Pike was with me, and Stuart Pike called the first 9-darter, i.e. the last 3 darts. So it was my turn in the second attempt, and had that occurred, I'd have put that right at the very, very top. To hit 2 9-darters in succession. I liken it to. It's not exactly the same, but it's almost the equivalent of 2 holes in one in succession in golf. 2 1-4-7 breaks in snooker. That kind of thing.
What do you think does it need to become a good darting commentator? yeah, who else could I ask than you?
Well, first of all, I think it helps if one is steeped in the game, and I am steeped in the game. I play darts. I don't play now. I'm 72. I've given up playing competitively. But I played darts in my local leagues.
How good were you?
For many, many years. I played Super League darts. I wasn't quite good enough to play county level. Well, I wasn't anywhere near good enough to play county level. But I became a compere, an MC, and refereed county matches. And then exhibitions, and so and I've been a darts journalist as well, writing in magazines and broadcasting, and so I think that is important. And it might sound as though I would be critical of those people who are not steeped in it. There are people who commentate, who are very good commentators, but who don't have a history in the game of darts. I think you're a better commentator if you do have that history in darts, as I have. And I also think, I always remember Sid Waddell saying this to me, a great colleague for many years, Sid and I, 17 years we sat next to each other in the commentary box, and Dave Lanning. And Sid said to me, we're in the entertainment business, John. When the darts are flying in left, right and centre, the entertainment's being supplied by the players.
Yeah.
He said, when they're not, that's when we do our hard work, and that's when we try to keep the game alive and keep the public interested. And I've learned a lot about that. I think applying a sense of humour, not overdoing it, but allying that sense of humour to the knowledge that one has, getting involved in the excitement. And it's not all about excitement. There are moments when you just simmer down, let it go quietly along and let it boil up again, and then suddenly you become part of that crescendo of the game when it reaches a certain level.
I remember you being quite creative when Michael Rosenauer played at the World Championship 2008, where you just said we had Adenauer, we had Beckenbauer, and now we have Mr. Rosenauer. So you also need some kind of those creative moments there.
Yes, I think to be aware of the wider world. We're not cocooned in that arena, whether it be the Alexandra Palace, whether we be in the venue in Berlin where they're going to play the Premier League, or whether we're in Australia or the United States or Japan. We're not cocooned in that venue. The world outside still exists, and I like to make references like that, where Sid and I made reference to the Three Musketeers, and he said about Porthos, and I said, but Aramis is the one that we don't like to see. The players don't like Aramis, and things like that. But I remember that, yes, Adenauer, and what is it? There's, it's like when I do like to make reference in a game. Can't I made reference to something that was, I forget what it was now, but it was outside of the game of darts, but it was appropriate to the moment. Yeah.
So we are back here, second part of this interview with John Gwynne. I just want to talk about you. I just want to talk with you about the last year at the Professional Darts Corporation. Who do you think is the most improved player, or maybe more than one? Everyone talks about Rob Cross, but what do you think? I think you also have a look at the scene and know many players quite well.
Well, to be honest, I don't follow it quite as closely as you might assume.
Okay.
I'm a very keen sports enthusiast, other than darts, and in my broadcasting career, I've covered and still do cover a lot of football.
Yeah.
And your German listeners may not appreciate this, but I'm also a massive cricket fan.
Yeah.
And I've been a cricket commentator for quite a number of years, though I'm not anymore, but I was for many years. And also rugby, both rugby union and rugby league. And so my and horse racing, which I love, but I don't commentate on. I have lots of other interests, and therefore I don't really follow the darts quite as closely as I would do were I still as heavily involved. But Rob Cross certainly is a player that you can't help but notice, even if one is not sort of as closely related to events as once was the case. Rob Cross is definitely one of the most improved players. There are others. The odd thing is, when you've been involved in the game as long as I have, you're more likely to see the players who are on the way down, who have been at the top,
Wes Newton,
than the players who are necessarily on the way up. And I saw the rise and fall of Wes Newton, and I've seen the rise and fall of people from way back, to Peter Manley, Shane Burgess, and players from the past who've been up there and slugged it out with the best, and now Mark Dudbridge is another one, you know.
Colin Lloyd, he wants to try it again in qualifying school.
Yes.
What do you think he can do?
I wish him all the best. I think Colin can make an impact, but he will never get to the heights that he did do. And if he thinks that he can, then good luck to him. But I think it's an unrealistic ambition. But Colin's a smashing guy. I like him a lot, and I think he was a really good player. He won the World Match Play, he won the World Grand Prix, he's been world #1, and but he's asking a lot. He's asking a lot of himself.
There are many things changing in the game of darts. All more prize money. The entry fees for the tournaments will fall away in the next year. Is everything good that happens to that sport, or are there also some things where you say it's enough, or there shouldn't be more on it? How do you see that?
Firstly, I like the way in which the PDC, having grown so big and made itself into such an exceptionally successful organisation, and has made a lot of money for itself. I'm glad to see that they're giving now something back to the players. I think that's absolutely fantastic, and I'm all for that. Where I do have an element of doubt, and this isn't a criticism, I think there's a danger that we have too much darts. Too much is expected of the players now, with the Players' Championships, the European Tour, the World Series Tour. I know that only caters for 8 or 10 players, but even so, I think there's the Premier League, of course, and the big championships. And the other thing, oddly enough, you might find this surprising coming from a television commentator, I do believe that we're in danger of having overkill on television. Too many televised tournaments.
It's no surprise for me, because in Germany we had 11 tournaments this year, and a World Series event just came along in Düsseldorf, and it's the problem that the people don't know, what is this kind of a tournament and what it's all about there, and in my opinion it's also too much packed calendar, and you have also some players like Raymond van Barneveld who just don't play that much ranking events because they are invited in so much events, the World Series, the Premier League. If they would play all ranking, Barney would be top 4, I think.
And we call it overkill. And I think there is a danger of that if it isn't the case already. It happened with snooker in the 80s and 90s, and the enthusiasm for the sport dropped off alarmingly, and I would hate to think that might happen with dart. I think the product is so attractive and so entertaining. That it's not going to, but we still have to be aware of it, and enough is enough sometimes.
So
but I'm all for the great prize money, and because it encourages youngsters to take up the sport, make a living out of it.
So many young players also coming up now. Do you still support some players? I mean, you did in the past, but I'm not sure quite.
I sponsored a young man from Manchester, where I come from, called Sean Griffiths. Sean was well known in BDO circles. He was a youth champion, both British and European, and he actually played in the World Championships of 2011 at the Lakeside. I sponsored him for 6 years, but in the end, there's a limit to how much one can do, and it was hard-earned, my own hard-earned money. I have no regrets, because I honestly believed that when Sean was 18 and 19 years of age that he would be a big star, and it didn't materialise. I believe he's still trying to. He's going to go to Q school, I think, and he's still going to try. But I think my 6 years was really, and he appreciates it. He understands. We didn't fall out. We keep in touch, and I always send him best wishes in tournaments. I saw him at Wigan the other week when I went up there to one of the playoffs for the Grand Slam at Wolverhampton, and I saw him there, and so no, I don't sponsor anybody anymore. That's not to say that I wouldn't. If I felt somebody was in need of it, and they had the promise as well.
Just the last question about you. You just said you comment on many sports, and you are 72, so maybe you can. Maybe you recognize, or you know what I'm going to ask here. How long will you do this? Commentate on sports, on darts, on football, on everything that you are doing at the moment?
Well, one of two things can happen. I could wake up one morning and say, I don't want to do this anymore to myself. I want to be in the comfort of my own home. I don't want to be travelling down motorways and back up motorways. And that's one thing that could happen. Of course, the other thing could happen is that the people who employ me doing football and darts might say, John, I'm sorry, but the time has come for us to say thanks very much. And,
can't imagine that. But
and well, one has to be aware that could happen.
Yeah, of course.
But neither of those scenarios is likely to come to fruition in the next 2 or 3 years. So I still think I shall be working at 75, maybe at 80, if I feel well enough. Then I shall do it. I shall do it with great aplomb.
Brilliant. All the best for you, that you can do it as long as you want to, and as long, many years also to come with you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for this interview. Well, one of the last big voices in darts, John Gwynne. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Sean, to you, Kevin, as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.